Good morning, everyone. This is Dan Spots on behalf of the Dallas Area Chamber. Welcome to the Dallas Area Chamber. Welcome to the Chamber's Community Affairs. Today is Thursday, March 12th, and our guest this morning is Rob Garrett, the director of Mid-Columbia Senior Center, and which is a fantastic facility. I've been following it for years. It has some very interesting facets to it, and we'll let Rob talk about that, some of the history and some of the stuff coming up. But in the meantime, let's go around the table and the Zoom table, and we'll start with Mr. Scott McKay in my upper right-hand corner. Scott, tell us what's going on.
Well, good morning, everyone. Scott McKay, volunteer for Circles of Care and an occasional cook for the Saturday night bingo. And if you want to enjoy some turkey wraps, you can come this Saturday. Rob will tell you when the door is open and all that. But so that's my opportunity to cook and volunteer for the senior center. And there was something else, but I already forgot that. So thank you.
Scott, if you think of it, and everyone, go ahead and put information in the chat box or plug back into the meeting. Let's see, Mike Wacker, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, so I don't know what's going on. But I am anxious to hear Rob.
All right, sounds good, Mike. Thank you for joining us. Corliss Marsh.
Morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh with Habitat for Humanity, the library, the senior center, and the library foundation. The college foundation. Update book sale this Saturday at the library book barn, 9 to noon. Come on, we sell books by the bags.
All right, we'll be there. What time does it open, Corliss?
9 o'clock.
All right, thank you. Sue Davis.
Okay. Good morning, Sue Davis, Executive Director of Advancement for the Columbia Gorge Community College. And I will put a couple things in the chat. Is that how you want that done, Dan? Rather than us saying what's going on, just put the things in the chat?
Sure, you could go ahead and note it now as well.
Okay. We have a community legacy giving event coming up on March 19th. It's not just hosted by the college, it's hosted by several nonprofits. There's actually about 8 of us. And it is a community event intended to educate folks about the process of creating a will, because only about 35% of Americans do have one. And we're bringing together finance people and lawyers and accountants and just creating a supportive atmosphere in which to learn about that process. So I'll put details in the chat on that.
Very good event. Thank you, Sue.
Absolutely.
And Counselor Scott Randall. Counselor, your mic is turned off, sir. Can you turn your...
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah, good morning, Scott Randall, the Dallas City Council. Just note that upcoming in May is the budget process. And if you haven't seen that in action, it's a good time to observe government transparency at its best. So that budget meeting is on the 11th, 12th, and if needed, the 13th of May, and they usually start at 5:30. Thanks.
All right. Oh, I remember the days. Scott, good luck. And with that, let's turn it over to our guest this morning, Rob Garrett, Mid-Columbia Senior Center. Rob, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Lisa and Dan, for having me on, inviting me on here. One of the things I really enjoy doing is talking about the Mid-Columbia Senior Center. So it's as easy for me. Maybe not so much for you folks. We have to listen, but you can always click off, I guess. I don't know.
Go right ahead.
I've been here now just a shade over 4 years since Scott left and I took over his shoes, and we've just had nothing but a fun time. I can't believe what an awesome opportunity for me and job this is for me. It's been just a kick. I got to be honest, I'm having more fun than I ought to sometimes. It's just a blast with all the senior trips and the events that I get to be part of during the day, and sometimes on the, like Friday night dances and things like that. I have just, I think I probably get more out of this than anybody in the community, to be quite honest with you. If anyone's getting half of what I'm getting, they got to be blessed. That's all I can say. So it's just that much fun. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen real quick. And I don't normally do slides and stuff like that, but if this stuff will work, let me see here. I want to show you something real quick. Can everyone see? Let's see if it, whoops,
We can see
things
it
in the
here.
way. Okay, there you go. Oops, that's not the right picture. At the top of the screen, if I can bring it down so I can get to it. I apologize. I'm not great at this.
It's coming
There
in
we
okay. We're looking at
go.
floor plans here.
What I want is a picture I have. There it is. Just have to get the right tab. So I don't know if anyone in this room or this chat box here that we're looking at, anybody remember this picture? This is right before the building opened in 1986, which is about 40 years ago. 40 years ago, this lot was being, they started construction sometime in the spring of 86. They finished and opened about December, I think is when the actual opening was. And they did a grand opening in January of 87. So this is before, obviously, they had any shrubbery. And I don't think it was even painted. It's a black and white photo. It looks to me like the building wasn't painted. As you can see to the left over here, the where the canopy comes off the front door. Now that's where the new use shop is because of the addition that they did in the elevator. I think it was 16 or 17 they did that addition to the elevator. Anyway, so that's what you're looking at 40 years ago when you drive by on the corner. Now, if I can get to this one, that's my calendar. Let's get rid of that.
Thank you.
Sorry, the black box keeps popping down. I'm going to show you a short video of this last week. Let's see if it'll play. Nope, wrong video. Sorry.
It's working though.
Yeah, but it's the wrong one. I want this one. This is last week.
Okay. And Rob, we need to have volume on this one.
Okay, let's stop it. So you're not getting volume?
I'm not here.
Maybe this video isn't going to work
Yeah,
then.
I'm not either. I've had this trouble with Zoom also when I try to play a video within Zoom. I wish I could remember the setting change that helps
Well,
that.
maybe we'll pass on the videos. It's not critical. I just thought it'd be fun to show this video. Kelly made this up last week, and let's get rid of it for now. Sorry, it's still playing. Yep, that's what I get for not being a pro at at technology.
Well, Rob,
Anyhow,
it's not just you. It's a bug with video and Zoom. And as Sue mentioned, there is some sort of a setting someplace. I don't know. Lisa is on the call too, and she is our.
I'm looking.
Thank
it's
you,
not
Lisa.
critical. It's a 1.5 minute video. What I'll do is explain what she does in the video. What she does is she goes through a day at the senior center with some video pictures, and then she overrides, she voices over it and tells what's going on. And you know what I might do is let the video play, let you guys see the pictures as they go through, and then in fact, I'll mute it my end. Don't worry about if you can't hear what she's saying, but you can see what's going on. And I'll kind of explain it. Basically, she starts off with an overview of what the building looks like now. As you can see, the front entrance is different than it was in the original picture. This was filmed, that part, during Jeff Merkley's visit. Here's Meals on Wheels lunch and Domino's. They're playing Bunko here. Tai Chi class in the basement. This is all about the same time of day within a half an hour. 2 o'clock in the afternoon paint class. This is a line dance. Our class was actually going on in the basement, but we got a video from the actual dance a few weeks ago. The Aegis Awards, a concert, and I don't know when this concert was, a few months ago, maybe a year ago. This, of course, is Senator Merkley here visiting. The New to You store. If you don't know about the New to You store, this is a place you need to come and visit. This is the best kept secret in town. Our medical equipment loan closet, where we serve about 100 people a month. Anyway, basically, that's the end of the video. It's pretty much done. But I guess what I'm trying to point out is how much has it changed in the last 40 years compared to what it used to be. And just to go on, can you see my calendar here?
Yes, yeah, we can.
So I had to create this calendar so I could keep track of all the rooms. You can see that each color is a different room that I use. The yellow is stuff that I do, and the rest, the green, the red, and the blue are rooms. The yellow can also be trips. For example, Tuesday the 10th, we went to Pendleton Woolen Mills in Washougal, Washington on a senior trip. We took 11 people down there. had a blast. Next week, on Sunday, we're going to see the 4 Old Broads in Bingen. We do things like this 2 to 3 times a month. We have senior trips. But as you can see, the point I want to make in this is the calendar is just jammed. And these are things that are on my calendar. Now, if you look at the calendar on our website, it's not as full because a lot of this stuff, obviously, I wouldn't put my own private things down here. But I'm going to stop sharing now. I think that's all I'm going to have since the videos didn't work. What I'm trying to get to in all this is that the fact that we have gone from 40 years ago just opening to being so busy that we can hardly squeeze people in. The calendar is full, and so watching Kelly's video, you get an insight of what we do. But there's more than that. I mean, the things we do. I'm just going to go down a list. We have Sheba Medicaid counseling, senior health insurance benefits assistance, it's called. We have dances, of course, line dance class. We have the art. We have quilters in the basement, sewing classes. We have obviously the games that you saw, a few of those, or several, pretty much one every day in the afternoon. We have different classes like computer repair or computer help with technology type kind of stuff. We have, of course, Meals on Wheels delivers out of here, and I'll say this as a caveat: I don't run Meals on Wheels. Nisi Patton runs Meals on Wheels, and they're a separate entity from the senior center. But I really feel strongly that both of us need each other so much that the bond has got to be permanent, because without Meals on Wheels to attract people and offer the food that they do at lunchtime, the noon meals from 12 to 12:30 Monday through Friday. If you're over 60, it's $4, and under is $6. And so, I mean, it's a great meal for a low price. There's lots of things going on during those hours, like music in the dining room most days, and just things like that. To go on with the list of things we do, we host Toastmasters. We have union meetings here quite often. A lot of AA groups meet here. Of course, the candidate forums that we'll have with the chamber in, I think, May. At least I can't remember the date of the candidate forum. We sometime early May, I
April
believe.
28th.
Oh, April. Okay, I couldn't remember. Thank you. I
Yep.
didn't look on the calendar.
It's okay.
So it's in April this year, not May, because of how it landed with the holidays and such. Anyway, of course, town halls like Senator Merkley were here. And then we rent out space for people in the whole community. It's not uncommon for people to come in. We've had funerals here. We've had weddings here. We've had birthday parties here. And it's really a good deal because we can make this available for a low price compared to many other facilities in the community. I mean, our rates for non-members for the main dining room and the Deschutes room, or the basement, excuse me, are $75 an hour, and the small Deschutes room is $60 an hour. And I mean, that's a pretty good price. And oftentimes, for members, we also give a discount of $50 an hour and $40 for the two prices to try and make it even more affordable. I guess the next thing I would say is, who do we do all this for? And we have 350 members. If you're interested in becoming a member, I would love to have you sign in. Every member to me is not just it's not a financial thing. We charge $35 a piece per person to join for an annual membership, which runs January to December. And membership, though, means when I'm working on grants and stuff, the questions they always ask is what I'm answering to you right now. It's who do you serve and how many, and so forth and so on. If I have 350 members or 500 members, the more members I have, it's better. So I would encourage you, if you're slightly interested, to join the Senior Center. You would get a newsletter emailed to you once or twice a month. One's an updated one, and the other one is the main newsletter on the first of the month. And you get to support what we do. Plus, if you do need to use the building, you get a discount. I'll also give you a discount if you want to go on one of our senior trips of $5 for that. So we try to give back as much as we can. I guess what I need to also focus on here is, how do we operate? For those of you who don't know, I'm basically the employee here, except for a few custodians, which do part-time work. And then, of course, Kelly and Hala, who works for Sheba, and Danette Utley, who works in Cherry Heights Dementia, or excuse me, Cherry Blossom Respite Care, which I'll get into that in a moment here. And so the rest of what happens here is basically operated by volunteers. We have between 40 and 50 really dedicated volunteers who spend, their weeks here, either in the new to you shop, working at the desk, working on my medical equipment loan closet, volunteering to help with Cherry Blossom Respite Care Program, working, volunteering as Sheba counselors, all those things that volunteers just come in and do. And I get people that come in and cooking like Scott will be doing on Saturday night this week, isn't it? Anyway, and that said, we always need volunteers. In fact, I could use more cooks if you're interested in cooking, some easy meals once or twice a month for the bingo crowd for concessions. Give me a yell. And people will come in and they'll say, "Hey, I'd like to volunteer." And always my first question is, "Well, what do you like to do?" Because I'm not going to peg a volunteer into a place where they aren't doing something they enjoy doing. And so you would come down here and volunteer if you so wanted to and do something you enjoy doing. I mean, maybe it is something you did in your career as, a worker, or maybe it's something you've never done before and you want to try to learn something new, like work the front desk. It's just a lot of fun. I'm going to see make sure I don't miss something on my notes. So back to the calendar. One of the things, and I'm going to share my screen one more time. I'm going to show you this that we've been working on. Because the calendar is so full, here's what I want to show you all. What we're considering doing here at the Mid-Columbia Senior Center is an addition. If you can get a grip of this on your screen, the darkened areas would be the new addition, and the light areas are the current building. And it's a little bit confusing, but if you look right here, there's the current front doors where my mouse is pointing, and our current lobby desk sits right here. And of course, the new to use show up is shaped like this with that back pad by the flagpole over here on the left being just a concrete slab. The goal is to expand the building out to the sidewalk another 20 feet and add one meeting room down here, move the director's office and the Sheba office and the reception area out. And then upstairs, add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 conference or meeting rooms that we can let out to people and use for games and those kind of things, with a staircase up, elevator access to upstairs, and a full set of restrooms up above. That's what we've been working on for the last few weeks as far as the expansion project. And that's what I'd like to talk about in the next few months, because we're going to need to generate funding for that. I'm going to quit sharing my screen now.
Rob, I'll show my ignorance here, and I've been going to the senior center for 40 years almost. I didn't know there was an upstairs. Are there rooms up there now?
No, there's nothing up there now. We would have to add that staircase. Upstairs right now is a small attic way, a breezeway type attic between the main dining hall and the Deschutes and the lobby area. And then over top of the kitchen is a large attic space with a lot of HVAC in there and stuff like that. The idea is to go up, and with the slope of the building, the architect thinks he can go up and create actually quite an impressive looking exterior as well as add that space. And with high ceilings and everything, and it's not within the bounds of engineering. We've already had an engineer look at it, and the idea is that can be changed relatively easy. I mean, of course, anything can be done with the right amount of money, but it's not an impossible task to add about 5,500 square feet.
And that would give you new revenue sources with those meeting spaces, because meeting spaces are at a premium in town all over the place.
It would. It could almost, I don't think it would pay for itself, because we'd have to maybe raise our rates a little bit, but we don't want to if we can help it. The goal in doing it is not just to get revenue. The goal is to get that calendar so that the last 2 months, 3 months, even 6 months, people will come to me and say, "Hey, I'd like to use a room for a one-off event." And I'll look at that calendar and I'll go, I have this day, I have Sunday afternoons, or I have, 2 in the morning, if you want to come in, we've got space.
Yeah.
But the point is, we are crammed and we can't really be allowing any, obviously senior center functions come first. And so we're not going to bounce the dances or the bunco card games or, those kind of things out, because if we want to bring someone in to rent the meeting room. So giving us the extra space upstairs would allow a little more space for breathing. And then that gets me to the Cherry Blossom Respite Program. Currently, they're in the basement on Wednesdays. And if you don't know what this is, for those of you who may not know, we just started this last fall, and it's a respite care program for people with dementia. Scott's been part of the volunteer and the steering committee on that, along with Colleen Bollinger and many other local people in the community, which my name's elude me right now. We hired Danette Utley, and she is actually running this program. And what we've been doing is from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoons. And it's okay. It's the reason for that time is that's the time we had open in the building. However, as you might well imagine, 1 to 5 is not really a premium time for someone who's not feeling well to come out and about. The goal was to bring people here to provide a respite care for the people who are caretakers, and then that person can go and do some shopping or go to the doctor themselves, or just read a book, whatever they need to do. But if the people who are coming, the people who have the dementia or Alzheimer's are here, they don't want to be here at that time of day. The goal is one of the goals in adding on to the building is we could move that program to morning to start with. And they have the same program going on. Scott, what is the name of the program in Hood River? Can you remind me? I've forgotten it.
Scott, your mic is off, sir.
The
The
Sunshine Club.
Sunshine Club.
Sunshine
Thank you.
Club.
Yes, I just was off my tongue. Yeah, Sunshine Club does it in Hood River, and they're doing 4 or 5 days a week. And I think that same thing could happen here if we had it in the right hours and we had the space. Currently, we don't have the space to keep the program going in the one room, one time a week at that, especially that time. So that would be one of the biggest reasons to add on to the building, is to provide that service to our community. And I do think it's a needed service. There's a lot of people who are dealing with this kind of thing, and I think it would really be beneficial if we could get it going. The other part, obviously, as Dan mentioned, to allow more people in the community to use it. We used to have scouts here. We don't have room for scouts anymore. Maybe they could start another troop if we had room again. Scott can probably recollect what we used to have before I came. And, I think there's things that we're missing that could be happening here, 6 days a week, evening as well as morning and afternoon, especially during the day when I have people who want to start a class and there's just no space for it, no place for it to happen. Corliss is one of the Mahjong players, and she can attest how there's actually waiting outside of rooms for other classes to finish so you can get into to play Mahjong on Fridays and sometimes Thursdays and sometimes Wednesdays. People are literally, we're choked, I guess is the right word. And I think if we can make this expansion happen, and how am I going to do that? I don't know. We're going to have to, I wish I had the exact, if I had a rich uncle write me a check, that'd solve the problem, but I don't. So we're going to be I've been writing grants to start with. I'm in touch with Roundhouse, which is a grant, people from Southern Oregon who've dealt with us previously with 3 grants. They like to do what's called a closing grant. So if we get, 80% done, they'll finish us off. The other part is JTMF. I'm working with them, trying to get grants through them. They're another large funder. I've talked to Kaylin at Ford Foundation. She knows we're doing this. I haven't had any recent conversation for the last couple of months with her, but Ford Foundation is another area. I talked to United Way just this week. We actually had a presentation for them. They're going to be probably part of the support if they agree to do it, and those kind of things. The other thing is I'm looking to members of our local community, the people out here who helped build the building 40 years ago and put in the elevator 8 years ago, 10 years ago. All those kind of people who would like to support us and see what we can do. The goal would be to build this and not borrow money. I don't know if the board is not really, I speak for the board, but Corliss is here. I think she could agree. The board probably doesn't want to go out and get an enormous loan that we can't pay for.
Yeah.
And so right now we have enough money that's been gifted to us by Columbia Basin Foundation towards remodel. That's what we're using to work for the architect and the engineering work and all the get it all laid out. The architect tells me that if we get everything passed and we get the funding to go, we could break ground as early as June of this summer. And he says he could probably have it finished by June next year. So a 1-year project, it could be enormous in this community. And in doing that, we're not giving up any parking spaces. We are staying within our footprint, the building, except for the 20 feet out where this rock path is out here. And so I think it's a doable thing. And I'm excited about it, but I'm apprehensive. I think it's going to be a great thing. Phil's got his hand up.
Go ahead, Phil. And Phil, your mic is off, sir. There you go.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late this morning. It's that side. Actually, I'll let everybody know I'm learning slow. My mother died this weekend, and I find I'm doing okay. I just get tired quick and sleep in and such. The
Bill, we are so sorry to hear that.
She was a wonderful lady. She had a beautiful life and passed very peacefully. I was happy. I was graced to be with her all through our lives.
Yeah.
Two things. One, I just dropped into the chat a grant from Lowe's company, and this sounds exactly like what they're looking for, things that will have benefit to communities in this kind of communal way. Second, coming back to topic of volunteers, I'm on the Columbia Gorge Health Council, which advises specific source on Medicaid and SNAP benefits. And we were talking about a huge problem that's going to be coming to us as SNAP benefits get cut. What's happening is people are going to be required to volunteer 48 hours a week if you're unemployed. And that's going to make it harder for people to keep their SNAP benefits. So we came up with the idea of, well, let's help people find ways to volunteer. And the idea is a clearinghouse of volunteer opportunities. The idea is still in the nascent stages. They were going to go to the next door and see if the next door might be a place to house that clearinghouse. But as you say, as the Senior Center is always looking for volunteers, this could be a great place for people to volunteer in order to keep their SNAP benefits.
We would like that.
Excellent. Bill. What a fascinating initiative. That's good to know. Phil, do you have a rollout timeline on that one?
I will take credit for the idea, and then I quickly hand it off to let's see I'll think about who's in charge and drop it into the chat here quick.
Okay. Thank you, Phil. Rob, go ahead. Oh,
Scott. Yeah, that is a good idea wait.
But just a thought regarding volunteers is there may be a perception that you may have to be an older adult to volunteer at a senior center, but as Rob can tell you, all ages. I mean, young people have been working at the front desk, and well, young people meaning 30, and then working bingo concessions, cooks. So all ages could volunteer at the senior center.
Scott's absolutely right. One volunteer success story I have is a young lady who is moved from Latvia, and she is trying to get she's gotten married here, and she's working on her green card. In fact, she just got her appointment on the 14th of April to get, so she could become a citizen. And she's been going through that process, and during that time she's not allowed to work, but she's been spending her time down here volunteering for me. A couple of weeks she did janitorial because my janitor was out of town. She did that just, with a volunteer. And then she's been working at the front desk two times a week, covering the front desk. And she's just so enthusiastic about being here. And it's just when someone comes in, someone says, "How come you're here? You're not old." They've said that to her many, many times. Well, none of us here are really old. To be honest with you, we're just a little older than she is. And we have a blast with her here. She's just a light down here shining. And, other people were to come into that age category. Scott mentioned, I think, the young lady who works in the bingo concessions. She is on her mission for her church, and she's basically done with that. She's going to be moving on to the next thing. We're going to lose her, but for over a year, she's been here 2-3 times a month, besides volunteering in the Meals on Wheels kitchen as well. And so I don't know if we can fill 40 hours a week for anybody, but we can certainly cut in to give some people some opportunities, Phil. That's a good idea. As far as other funding like Lowe's, we've also gotten in touch with Home Depot. They gave us, I don't know if anyone knew this, but last month we gave away 6 3-wheeled tricycle bicycles that Home Depot gave to us through Fix It For Him. And I'm reading Phil's thing, sorry. Anyway, Home Depot provided those bikes and we just gave them away. And in doing that, they also heard about our remodel project and it's on their radar. So Home Depot, Lowe's, places like that. And obviously, we're going to have to dig deep in our community to make that kind of addition happen. So I know maybe you'll have this question, but I almost hate to say it. This is what the anticipated cost of 5,500 square feet will be for the building. It's going to be in the neighborhood of 4 million. And that's, $780 a square foot is what they're projecting for commercial building prices right now. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's a lot of money and it was daunting. But I think if they had this attitude back in 1986, probably, sure it was less dollars, but was it less percentage of what was happening in our community with gas being, say, $1 a gallon versus $4 a gallon? Everything has gone up like that. So it's just kind of risen equally. Hopefully people can still afford to help us out. And that would be the major concern if they can. I think I don't want to hesitate to do it if we can pull the trigger and get this done in this year, because next year it might be 5 and the year after it might be 6 million. You just don't know. It's never going to go down. We know that. So anyway, I'm going to be going around to the service. I'm going to Rotary and Kiwanis and Lions and speaking about this same topic and see if I can drum up some support, not just financially. If someone has, a skill for, generating funds or a skill for, promoting things that we're doing here at the center, I'd love to have you join in with us and be part of what we're doing. Again, everything we do here is fun. I think we can make building a building fun. So I've got a lot of time left. I think I'm out of things that I wanted to talk about. Anybody have any questions?
Rob, you're probably anticipating this one already, but in terms of fundraising and looking at those different meeting spaces, those are naming opportunities for potential donors. So maybe, yeah, you're probably thinking about that already. I just wanted to reinforce the need for meeting spaces, particularly political forums, candidate forums. I get calls still from congressional staff saying, "Here, we're going to have a candidate forum here day after tomorrow. Can you help us out?" And I'm thinking, well, thank you for the fantastic advance notice, but yeah, there is a place that has a lot of parking in front and it's highly ADA accessible and they've got a fantastic meeting space. It's called the Mid-Columbia Senior Center. And a lot of times, that new staff in the area, they don't know about it. They don't know about the college. They don't know about the Civic Auditorium, but the Senior Center is right up at the top of the list. So with that combination of parking access, ADA, a large meeting space that's also acoustically friendly. And as I get hard of hearing, I appreciate that more all the time. So, man, you could use the additional space. Mike, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, if I remember right, when it was built, it was very controversial. And now you look at it and you go, whoa. Whoever was pushing it, I think Hal Sessions was one of them, knew what they were doing. Also, I go there usually a couple times a week. I do Meals on Wheels, and the place just has a positive vibe. You walk in and you just know it's kind of where you want to be. And the question, Rob, who's your board? Who's on your board, please?
I have Diana Thomas as our board chair. I have Vicky Sully. She's our vice president. I guess it's board president, Diane is. And Vicky Sully is the vice president. J.R. Frakes is the secretary. J.R. is from Edward Jones. Cindy Johnson lives out in Dufur. She's our treasurer. Chorus, of course, who was our president when I was hired. She's on the board still. Robbie Anderson, she's on the board. She's been on the board for years. She basically helps run bingo 2 times a week. Kathy Bush, she runs our new to use store. She's one of our board members. Rose Denslinger has been a board member for years. She is also part of the new to use store. Mike Glover, he was a former, worked for the Chamber of Commerce in Hood River. He's retired from there. He's on our board. Mark Kendrick, a local musician and teacher on the board. Gary Patton, he has been on the board probably for 15 or 20 years. Scott would know best. His hand is up to tell me. And then that's the board. There's 12 of us, or 12 of them, excuse me. And most of the original board that hired me is still here. There's been a few changeovers and a couple, back and forth things. But the board that hired me, I don't know. I've never worked for better people in my whole life. If something's going to get done here, these are the people that can get it done. And they're good quality people. So Scott, I see a hand.
Yeah, just on a couple comments. One is that it's definitely a working board. They do most of the work, and there's a tremendous have that support from the board. And just a historical comment. One is that when Mike talked about it was kind of controversial back in the old days, I have to give a shout out to Walt Erickson and the gun club, which people are always surprised that there's a gun club in the basement of a senior center. And back in the days, the plan was to be a one-story senior center. And Walt Erickson said, that's ridiculous. You got this opportunity going to the, in the back on the slant on the slope and all, and we need to create a basement. And with Walt's initiative and the support of the gun club, because they were looking for an indoor space, they were able to create that basement, which was not in the original plan. So, shout out to the gun club and the Walt Erickson to make that basement happen.
Scott, I'm glad you raised that one. I was going to ask that one myself because I took a firearm safety course down there not too long ago, and it's a great service. It definitely comes as a surprise to people, though. I want to go back a little bit more on history too, Scott, since you're on the call, and set me straight if I'm wrong. I remember when I first came to town, Mary Soden was the director there and talked about the importance of Meals on Wheels in establishing the center. Meals on Wheels was going from one location to another around the community, not having sufficient facilities. And so that was one of the factors in driving development of the senior center, a dedicated kitchen facility for Meals on Wheels, separate from the senior center, but in partnership with the senior center. Is that your recollection? And Rob, you
definitely. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Rob, I don't.
Yeah, that's exactly how it came about. And that's again why I think, like I said earlier, it's so important that the Meals on Wheels and the senior center get along together and work together and strive towards the same goal. I can't be it's us versus them. I don't have that liberty, nor do I want it. I want to be on the same page with them. I want to support everything they do as much as I can. I think growing the building will help them too down the road. They've even talked to me a little bit about maybe increasing their walk-in space. I know that's important to them, that they would have to fund that, but somehow they need a larger space for storing food, as they have so many more people. I don't have the exact number at my fingertips, but I think they run 6 or 7 routes a week, and they're serving, 100 people per day. I mean, it may be even more. That Mike might even know more than I do. Mike, when you run a route, about how many people do you serve?
There are 8 routes, and they probably average 18 to 20 people per route.
Yeah.
And
so
also, I'm not sure people know, but people that want 2 frozen meals on Friday, so they have a meal Saturday and Sunday, that's also offered, which is really pretty cool.
And then, Dan, and everyone else, they do that, it's basically by donation. I don't think they charge for the meals. I said $4 for 60 and over, and 6 for under, but I think it's a donation. I don't think it's a requirement. Anyone who comes in at lunchtime and needs food, they'll feed them. And, I've seen them give out to-go boxes even here, to someone to take home for someone else, or take it home for the evening for dinner. So Meals on Wheels, yes, they need to stay in this permanent place, and we need to make sure we accommodate that. And it was part of getting the center set up. So it's kind of neat that it happened that way. And then, another thing, as far as some excitement, a little bit of fun, this is our 40th anniversary, as I said, originally I was just going to do, block parties and things like that. Now I'm thinking maybe we do groundbreaking parties and a thing like that. But the other thing we have started doing is I have a group of ladies who are doing they're called my historical committee. And we took all the boxes of pictures and letters and things that are up in the attic and stored places in the center. And they're making us I don't know, for lack of a better word, a yearbook covering the last 40 years of the center with pictures, stories. It's going to be something we'll try and, sell. We're trying to keep it around $30 per person to buy. You could get it as kind of a collector's item. You could get it as, I think it's going to be hardback, and we could use it for fundraising. We could sell them for a little bit, to make a little money, not much because they're expensive to produce, but someone could get that in their hands. And the 40th anniversary edition would be and it's a good time to do it before we change the building. I think we could get pictures of what it's like right now and put in that. And that's something they've been working on. And it's, Scott Dan mentioned the original directors. I think I'm the eighth one. We've got everyone's name and history about all but one of them. They're working on history of one of them. They can't seem to locate much about him. And I can't remember his name. They were talking about it yesterday. But I think that's going to be fun to see that when it gets produced too. And just to have a history of what happened when, they put the 10th Street Bridge in, which cut this little space of land off from St. Peter's Church. And then St. Peter's donated it to the city. And now, Scott, if I get off in the weeds, you can correct me. So they donated to the city. The city said they said it could be used for something like a park or a little league facility or something like that. So somehow the city gave it to the senior center group that was forming. And here we are 40 years later. And if it weren't for a 10th Street Bridge getting put in across Mill Creek, maybe we wouldn't be here at all. So it's amazing how things work. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's a blessing to the community. We need to keep it going and thriving. I have this old saying that I used to think about when I was in the bread business with Fran's Bread, is if you don't move forward, you stagnate and fall behind. You have to kind of be thinking ahead about what you're going to need to do. Otherwise, you're going to fall behind and people are going to get tired of us or frustrated with not being able to get a space in the building, and someplace else will come in and steal what we could offer. And then we won't be needed. So now I will also say this. I do believe that the senior center will always be needed, and whether we do this remodel or not, I think we will continue to thrive. I think we could thrive more if we had more space to do it in. So, one other thing I would like to add too is many people don't know this, but we are a standalone nonprofit. So this building addition isn't going to add a penny to anybody's property taxes. We're not going to go out and get, the county doesn't support us, the city doesn't support us. We may get small grants from the state, like Sheba or when we got the van, but none of those things will cause anyone's taxes in their home to go up. We will be still self-supporting and independent that way. And so I think that's something to be said about the people who started the senior center 40 years ago, the Jim McCalls and the Terry Cochrans and the, Dan Erickson's, or not Dan Erickson, excuse me, Erickson. Wall, thank you. All those people put this together, and they did it in such a way that it was financially sustainable, and it didn't put a burden on anybody. It just gave people a place to be. And I like to continue that.
That's a critical point, Rob. No tax base, no public subsidies. You don't get state, federal funding, operational funding, grants, yes, but it is and always has been self-sustaining.
And Meals on Wheels, of course, is different. They do get a little bit of funding through. That's a different thing. So, I think Meals on Wheels will always continue to get that kind of funding. And I think if it did go away, I think there'd be other ways to get that funding for them too. I think they could still keep going. Gun Club, they basically rifle range. They stand on their own. They do what they do, and they pay us. They lease the basement part from us, just like Meals on Wheels leases the kitchen. So there are renters, and there's substantial rent, so that it really helps to pay the bills. The other two things that are the thing that really keeps us alive, and that's, you mentioned it earlier when Scott talked about, or we mentioned it about bingo. Every Thursday tonight, we'll support Meals on Wheels. That's their fundraiser. So if you come to bingo tonight, you will get money for Meals. You will give money to Meals on Wheels, except for the bingo concessions, and that goes to the senior center both Thursday and Saturday. And again, Saturday, this bingo goes to support the Mid-Columbia Senior Center. So both entities, I mean, we share the same bingo machine, we share the dining room. I guess you could see just in bingo alone how entwined we are with one another, that we really need each other. I mean, sure, we could do 2 bingos a week for the senior center if Meals on Wheels wasn't here, but then we wouldn't have Meals on Wheels, and vice versa. We have to have each other. We have to work together. And I think it works. It's a working relationship that's going to probably last for another 40 years. I think when I am long gone, there'll be someone sitting at this desk going, this is what we need to do for the next 40 years. And I want to get it ready for that person to be ready, just like they got it ready for me and Scott to do this. And then, as I mentioned in the video, the new to use shop, another entity that's developed over the last 15 years where they sell gently used clothing, and it's all donated. So the Meals on Wheels, with the exception of the property taxes we pay to Wasco County for that small square of our building, is basically 100% profit. Again, volunteer run, everything's donated. It's just another part that supports the center. So you should come in and shop there. Good stuff for Christmas gifts and birthday gifts. I don't know. I felt like I've talked a lot. Any other questions? Hi, Phil.
Scott and Phil.
A couple comments, Rob, is that to acknowledge those folks who made the center happen. I need to mention Betty Harlan, who made the Meals and who was the first director of the Meals on Wheels program, and she was a tremendous, asset volunteer worker, and she worked for Meals on Wheels, and then when she retired from that, she was a volunteer for the senior center. But as you said, they worked closely together. One challenge that the Meals on Wheels program is having is that they may lose funding from the federal funding they get through the Area Agency on Aging. That could be, there's a possibility that could be reduced by 25%. So they may have some additional financial needs in the future. And so to keep the program operating to the extent that it has been. I don't know how they're doing as far as financially, but I know from my being on the Area Agency on Aging Senior Advisory Council, they're talking about reducing the funding for the Meals on Wheels here in the Dalles by 25% in order to fund and to start other programs in other parts of the state. So just want to make sure we appreciate all that Betty Harlan did to make the center and the Meals on Wheels program successful.
Well, and I'd also just piggyback on that what Scott just said. Denise Patton, she's been here for I think 35 years, and she's run the program that whole time. She recently suffered a severe, 4 years ago, a severe medical problem, and she's still here, doing it regardless of how she's feeling. She's that committed, and they've been working on. I know they've been talking to places like United Way, and so she's well aware of the funding situation and has been working on grants herself. So, I think there's money to be had, and there's generosity to be seen in our communities. It's a good place to be, the Dalles. Scott or Phil?
Phil, go ahead.
I have an announcement if we're wrapping up here.
We are, Phil, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob. It is really gratifying to see what's going on at the Senior Center, always how the place keeps going. And if in 20 years, the Senior Center will be senior itself. It'll be pretty amazing. As you know, there was a while back a plan to build a resolution center, and the funding from that got cut and blocked. The idea for the most fundamental piece of it is a drug rehabilitation, inpatient drug rehabilitation center, and that has stayed alive, and it's shifted over to leadership coming from Center for Living. And people on this screen know that when the project gets started, it doesn't always get past the starting line, but they're at the starting line here and looking at using the Medical Arts Building. That's the old building diagonal from the Dalles Arts Center as a place. And so this would be, like I say, drug and rehabilitation, 16 to 25 beds. It'll take a massive makeover of the inside of the building, but it used to be a hospital, so it has the guts that can run this kind of place. So that's on the horizon here.
That was the original hospital, I think, before Mid-Columbia Medical Center, the Dallas General Hospital.
Yeah, for a while I thought I was born there, but I was born up there where the on the annex on the concrete block on the ridge there.
Oh, good. Are there any other questions for Rob? We still have a few more minutes here. And then we also have Salvador joined us from the Housing Authority. So I want to, Scott, go ahead.
Just one comment again. Rob's talked about the Cherry Blossom Respite Program that the Mid-Columbia Senior Center stepped forward and uh, uh, accepted that program. But just want to say that if you know anyone who's living with dementia and their caregiver, they now have 3-4 volunteers for the program, and they have the capacity to take on many more individuals who are living with dementia to give respite for their caregiver. So if you know anyone, spread the word, have them. I don't know the phone number for Danette, but call them. Rob would know, or call the senior center, and they would be glad to direct you to Danette to make that happen.
Danette Utley. Rob, do you have that number offhand?
I do. 541-288-8315. That's Danette's line that she is part of the program. And I would also say, just before I'm done, so make sure you check out our website, MidColumbiaSeniorCenter.com. Check out our website, check out our YouTube channel, which has those 2 videos. We're going to be posting more. YouTube, you can just search for Mid-Columbia Senior Center. You can see the 2 videos that we have up now. We're going to try and post one a week and just start building on that, informational videos about what's going on. And it's mostly for fun and just to let people see. And I don't know, maybe I'll get 1 billion hits and YouTube will pay for my building remodel. You never know. Sure, plug into it 4 or 5 times, right? At least.
I want to repeat that number to be sure I get it right. I put it in the chat box, 541-288-8315.
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Dan.
The chat box. And Salvador, you've joined us from the Housing Authority. Updates from the Housing Authority, sir?
Currently, as of right now, we still in the same boat, moving things along with all of our programs. We do have, actually, we have a down payment assistance that we're trying to get rid of for veterans. For some reason, it's been really, really hard to get that word out to all the veterans out there, but it's $30,000 to $60,000 with the down payment assistance to be able to purchase a first-time home. So it's something that we reached out to the Veterans Affairs Office and everything, and it's just I don't know if we're not just hitting the right people, but that is one of the things that we're trying to focus on to finish off the year. Program, I believe, is going to be ending in August, and we still have roughly around $270,000 to give out. So
You're in touch with the Veteran Service Officer in the Dalles?
correct, yeah. And we attended some meetings, and I think there was a meeting last week for veterans. We also attended that one. But just in case, if you guys know of anybody that is a veteran that would be interested in wanting to purchase a home, needing down payment assistance, we have some available. We have obviously the buildings that we are currently building in Hood River. Those are still moving along. I believe they were delayed a tad bit. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like the waiting list is going to be populated anywhere between spring and summertime for those places. We are moving along with our community land trust in Carson, Washington. So we're going to be moving along with those as well too pretty quickly. We just have so many moving parts, honestly. I'm trying to remember them all, but down payment assistance, home repair, community land trust, we have everything moving along. If you guys know of anybody that is interested in any of those programs, please let them know that we're here. We also have the foreclosure avoidance programs that we're still currently working with. the state of Oregon currently right now is working with homeowners who are past due on their mortgage to be able to bring up their mortgage current up to $50,000. It is a grant and it's automatically fully forgiven. If you guys know of anybody who is facing difficulties paying their mortgage or has fallen behind up to $50,000, there is that program available for Oregonians.
Salvador, be sure to put your contact information in the chat. Also, any updates on Chenoweth Loop Road project?
That one is still in the works. That one is going to be probably another 2 to 3 years out, to be honest with you, just because we have so many moving projects. That one, I mean, the land and everything and the design is pretty much almost there, but it's getting the funding for it is what's gonna take a little while.
Okay, great. Right. We are starting to wind down. Our guest has been Rob Garrett. Any further questions about Mid-Columbia Senior Center? Rob, fantastic presentation. Fascinating. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I really appreciate you letting me be on. Thank you guys very much. And just come visit us down here. It's happening at the center. You got to be here.
All right, with that, everyone, I think I'll give you back about 3 minutes of your day. Thank you for joining us. Lisa will be our guest next week, talking about updates on Northwest Cherry Festival. So look forward to seeing you next Thursday, 7 a.m.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.